Don't you think it looks like a SL6?
Yep, actually,
No problem, man.
overseas just friends.
You must be very excited to try out the other bike.
Yeah, because eventually I'll be getting it for my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, where were we? Okay, yeah, so you have your own club called Break the Cycle. Could you tell us more about this club?
Okay, so Break the Cycle is actually established in 2020 November by Andrew Ong. So his purpose of this club is actually to help ex-convicts to break the re-offending cycle for them to lead a healthy and fruitful and meaningful life, so that they will not go back to their old ways and turn over a new leaf to have a positive community that bridges and help them reintegrate back to the society. Therefore, we are using cycling as a platform for ex-convicts and public alike to get to know one another, so that we can foster a positive community for this group of special individuals.
I think it's a very good thing that you guys are doing. So how does it work? You guys have weekly rides, or how do people join?
Okay, so generally we have a Facebook page, Instagram page, and then WhatsApp groups. So for our WhatsApp groups, we have a group specially tailored for rides and updates only. Then subsequently, we also have a chatter group for those individuals who are more involved in the community program, helping the ex-convicts, spreading the message, spreading awareness. Then so we have on a weekly basis, we have Tuesday rides, Thursday rides, and Sunday. So Tuesday and Thursdays are generally at Seletar at 9 p.m. to about 10 to 10:30. Then for Sunday rides, we start from generally about 6 up to 11 or 12. Yeah, those generally are like RI rides or 80 km climbing routes that we do, maybe like 1,000 or 1,500 of elevation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's on your club. So thanks for the introduction. More about you and the bike. How long have you been cycling?
So for me, I've been cycling for roughly about 8 years since I was 17. So now I'm 25. Many of times people mistaken me as a very young cyclist, but I do have certain experience in the cycling world to back it up. Yeah.
Have you always been a road cyclist, or were you from mountain biking background?
So a bit of background is I started cycling when I was 4 years old. My first bike was actually a BMX. So I was never on training wheels, those kids' bike. So I then moved on to mountain bike at the age of 8 years old, and then subsequently to fixie at 14. Then fixie for about 2 years, and then I converted to road bike. Yeah, so that was really when my road bike passion started.
Okay.
Very, very new.
So what bikes do you own before this Trifox?
For me, I started with a half carbon frame Battling. It's an Italian frame that was pretty unique, but that frame was quite soft in a way. Then my current group set, the 6800 Ultegra, came with my first bike. So it's been with me for the past 8 years.
So this is the second bike?
This is my third.
And the second bike was
Wheeler.
Which one?
Wheeler 07. So that was a lightweight carbon frame. It weighs in about 800 to 900 grams for S size M. Yeah. So that bike, for my first Battling, I held for about 2 years. Then the subsequent Wheeler was about 4 years long. Yeah, because it was a second hand, bought about 3,003 at that time. So then I moved on to Trifox because I felt like the Wheeler was a bit soft when it comes to the stiffness, because after all it's a lightweight climbing frame. So as a sprinter, when I go for high power, I do feel the frame flexing under power. So that's why when I tried the Trifox, I was like, wow, this frame.
Who introduced you to the Trifox?
Actually, it was through Nelson. Nelson introduced me to his friend Adriel, who is a main distributor. So that was when I saw the bike. What caught me first in the attention was the color, then followed by when I tried the bike, the stiffness. Yeah.
Trifox is a China brand.
Yes.
Don't you think it looks like a SL6?
Yep. Actually, some background story for the Trifox is that it was based off of SL6 S-Works. Then they made some changes and adjustments. Then they branded it as X16 in the Trifox range.
What other models are there, and are they like copies of any other American or European brands?
There is another one that is X18. So that is the base off model from SL7. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the SL6 and SL7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially.
Alright. Okay. How much are these frames going for?
This X16 is about 1,003. X18 is about 1,005 landed in Singapore. Then it comes with 2 years manufacturer warranty.
Do people mistaken this as a SL6 and?
Not exactly. People do find the frame geometry very, very familiar. But when they look at the brand, they're like, what is this brand? Trifox. Then some of them have heard. People who have known about it, people who are more active in the cycling community would have known or heard of the brand. But some people wouldn't, and they find that, wow, a bit sketchy, the brand.
This is a 49 centimeter size frame.
Yes.
You are 176 and you have 82 cm inseam.
Yes, correct.
Doesn't it look small for you?
Yes, it is. I intentionally downsized. So for my past 2 frames, I was going for 52 top tube. This is a 49 top tube. So I intentionally downsized and I extend my length, the length of my stem. So my current stem is 130 instead of my previous 110. Yeah,
So
to compensate for the length.
This is a Trifox integrated cockpit. It comes with the frame.
Yes, correct.
And what's the width of the handlebar?
My current handlebar is 40 mm.
Okay.
Then the top is actually 38. The drop bars is measured at 40.
But it's because you tilted your hoods in.
So when I tilt my hoods in, it goes to 36. Yeah, so it's for the aero position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more about your components here you have on the bike?
Sure. So for my Trifox, starting with the cockpit, that is about $170 from Trifox integrated with T600 carbon material. Then the frame itself is also T600. I said T800. Sorry. The components that I have is the Ultegra 6800 full group set. Then my wheels are my own current branded wheels, Just Bikes carbon wheel sets. Currently I'm on a testing wheel set with Novatec hubs. Because it's a more entry level price, I'm currently to do tests to see what are the benefits when it comes to the cost effectiveness between different hubs and different wheel sets. Yeah.
Tell us more about the wheels. Just Bikes, I've not heard of it, and you say these are testing, so prototype wheels?
Yes.
It's a local brand or from China also?
It's the bike is essentially purchased from China, and then we build it locally in Singapore. So it's actually my own branding. We are currently still in the research and development phase, whereby I would like to test the strength of the wheel set and then ride feel, because I feel like a lot of times the big brands are really expensive, and you are most of the time paying for like the branding and just the reputation alone. So going together with the Trifox frames, I want to build a bike that is valued for money and performance driven.
So how much are these wheels gonna be selling for?
So for the Novatec hubs, the price is about $900 plus or minus. Then I have DT350 series and DT3 240 series. So those are priced around 1.3 and 1.6.
Novatec hubs are not very popular here.
Yeah, correct.
Is there a reason why it's not popular?
It's really an entry level hubs, and they are slightly heavier compared to the usual hubs. For example, this Novatec hub is is about 150 to 200 grams heavier than the DT Swiss 350s, and about 400 grams difference compared to our DT Swiss 240s.
But besides the weight, in terms of engagement and performance, is there any difference?
So there is 6 pawl engagement compared to DT Swiss Ratchet system, which is 12 or 18 or 24. Then other than that, majority is just really about the rolling resistance, the type of bearings that they use. So a lot of times when we get a lower tier hub, we can actually change the bearings to improve the performance from there.
But Pawl system seems to be a very traditional kind of hub system.
Correct.
Is there any differences running Pawl or Ratchet?
Okay, so a lot of times people prefer Ratchet due to the sound it creates.
So it's just a sound.
The Freehub, right? It sounds more expensive and I would say attention-seeking to a point of to a certain level. But at the same time, it actually increases the rolling resistance of because the sound generated is actually friction, the ratchet and the Pawl that's clicking. So actually Pawl systems is better in terms of rolling resistance for the hubs alone. Yeah, but at the same time, because generally they are lower end, so the bearings that are used are actually not as good in quality. Yep.
So these are 50mm deep, right?
Yep, correct.
So how you're planning to sell these wheels? How many variants are there in terms of depth?
So for the wheels, I have 24, which is the shallow carbon rims. Then there's 38, there's 45, 50, 55, 60 onwards to 80, and also like full disc.
And you offer it in rim and disc?
Yep, correct.
So $900
plus minus with some variations to the configurations. Like for example, Shimano body, Shimano Freehub body versus sorry, I cannot think of the other one.
Campy.
Yeah, Campy Freehubs are slightly more expensive, like $50 difference.
Is there a reason why Campy is more expensive?
At the end of the day, it goes back to the manufacturer that we buy the Freehub body from. Yeah, so it's just a cost transferring. There's no particular markup to it. Yeah.
How do you think these wheels are priced among your competitors? So I think right off my head, I can think of is Windspace.
Yep.
You talk about the Windspace Loon, right? The entry level ones.
Yep.
How much are those going for? At about 1,000 plus?
Soon should be 1,300 to 1,500, quite similar to Hyper X.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's still cheaper than the Hyper. The Loons are cheaper than the Hyper, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I think in that aspect, because personally I have not tried it before, so I have not much comments to it. I think it's nice that there are more and more China manufacturers looking at wheels, because at the end of the day, when it comes to DT Swiss, NV, Zip, the full wheel sets are ranging from $3,000 to $6,000. So in essence, that is almost the price of another frame. So at the end of the day, I feel that China manufacturers, when they're coming into the wheel set market, they bring a lot of value that people can make use of and to try it out. At the end of the day, to be very frank, as someone who has been cycling for 8 years, the weight, aerodynamics are very, very little aspects to how a person performs on a bike. At the end of the day, I always believe it's the engine that matters.
Sure. Of course. Talking about now, moving on to the tires, right? These are GP5000. Are they clinchers?
Yep, clincher.
And you run 28 and 25.
Yep.
Is there a reason why you choose different width?
Okay, so first point was at that point of time was stock issue. Then after that, I was like, I want to try something that is said to be better in rolling resistance with 28 mm. But after trying, I do feel that the pickup is slower because of the rotational weight. So I feel for me as a 60 kg rider, I do not need 28 mm. I will stick to 25s. But if let's say anyone who's heavier that wants a more comfortable, more supple tire, they can try 28s because they can run a lower PSI level.
I've interviewed guys, and I think now the trend is to go wider and wider.
Yep.
Now 28, 30, I've even seen 30. I think
Yes,
I recently filmed
30.
one guy, he has Winston, he has 30 millimeters. So what do you think of that? Like, it's going wider, man. Even a mountain bike.
Yes, actually, it's both good and bad. At the end of the day, we must compare between rolling resistance, contact patch, and also the weight of the rider. Finally, the main issues that will come is weight from the tires, because for like GP series, between 23, 25, 28 and 30, that's roughly about 50 grams per tire. So meaning to say, when we factor in the inner tube weight as well, it will cost you maybe like 200 to 300 grams difference, which would be equivalent to one extra water bottle. So that will be quite significant. I think the trend is there, but whether it works or not is a different factor.
And you're running clincher, so what are the tire pressures that you pump?
For me, I do 80 and 90. 80, forward and back.
Very low for clinchers.
Generally, it's okay for my weight because I'm 60 kg only, 60 to 65. So if I run 100, I do that on race day so that I have better control. But at the end of the day, when you go for normal rides, you will feel the tire, the road feels and the bumps on the road. Yeah, so that might feel uncomfortable, which will lead you to having a lower average speed.
A lot of people say that, okay, I run 110 psi
Wow.
on 25 C wheat tires. Everyone I interview say that because I pump such high pressures, I'm always bouncing on the ground. But you say that you go for races and you pump 100. Why do you pump 100?
For me, I prefer a sturdier road feel so that I can more like I can feel the ground when I'm cornering. You see, for example, if I'm doing 80, the tire would be absorbing most of that bumps. So I wouldn't be able to feel if the road surface is slippery, for example, or let's say there's rocks or gravel or sand. That's when it will dampen that feeling. Yeah. So for me, when I go for races or when I go for fast rides like average 40k per hour, I generally pump higher PSI.
Will you go tubeless and go for lower PSI?
For me, I don't see the benefit of tubeless or tubular. I find that the maintenance cost to the actual benefits outweigh. I don't think it's very worth it. But if let's say you are in a pro team, and then you have a mechanic that helps you do all this maintenance, I mean, by all means, go ahead, because there is definite benefits to the rolling resistance and actually mainly it's rolling resistance. Yeah.
Yeah. So you race?
Yes, I do
crits,
recreational races. Yeah, crits.
On this bike?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so how would you compare this to all your other competitors who are on very expensive bikes? Do you beat them outright? Or is it still the engine at the end of the day?
It's actually at the end of the day still the engine. I believe buying a bike, you need to go for a bike that has a good geometry for you to fit the right style. For example, if you like to be relaxed, you want to go for endurance frame, something that's more laid back. But if you like to go racy, then it's about your posture, where it allows you to be in an aerodynamic position, so that the longer you hold that position, the more effective you are in your power transfer and your speed. Yeah.
But for someone who races, right, wouldn't you want to squeeze every single watt out of your bike so that you get the maximum potential? So for example, buy an OSPW.
Okay, that's another controversial topic.
Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
I used to be on OSPW, but I really didn't feel the benefit. It's so marginal that if you wear a tighter clothing, you wear race fit clothing, you change your shoe to a higher stiffness index, it almost is negligible to the OSPW. And at the same time, it's actually more risky in terms of your cornering, especially if you're cutting corners near to curbs. Your OSPW might hit and get damaged during the process.
Because it's very low, right? Lower to the ground.
Correct.
So for someone like you, okay, I've never interviewed someone who races. I think you look like someone who races quite a lot. What is the biggest upgrade some riders can do to improve their performance? Does money buy speed, or is it fitness?
Money does buy speed, but I think there's a point of level where okay, for example, buying a carbon aluminum frame that costs $500, comparing with a road bike full carbon that costs $2,000, and then in comparison to maybe a $6,000 like maybe a Pina frame, Dogma, I would say that the benefit between the 500 and 2000 would be exponential compared to the 2000 to 6000 Pina frame, because at the end of the day, I believe that benefit is almost like 5% versus the latter, which would be like 20%. Yeah.
What's your training schedule like, if you have one?
For me, I do Monday Zwift, so indoor HIIT training, Tuesday on-road recovery, Wednesday HIIT indoor Zwift, and then after that, Thursday outdoor ride recovery. Friday, I'll generally squeeze in a gym session, and then weekends just chill ride, just have fun.
So almost Monday to Friday you're packed?
Yes, so to speak.
Okay. How about nutrition? How do you prep yourself for rides?
For me, I generally drink plenty of water so that I don't have to have the urge of rehydrating during the ride. So that's one thing. So generally my weekday rides, I only bring one water bottle. So I save 500 grams, the first point. Then for my nutrition wise, I try to go for, I supplement my meals with protein shake. And then generally, because for me, I'm always underweight. I'm 176 and I'm 63 kg. I need to have surplus of my calories in order to support my training schedule. So I don't have any diet restrictions. I eat anything and everything that I want to. I try to hit my calories so that I don't drop my weight when I keep my training program. Yep.
After rides or before rides, do you stretch? Anything that's important? Do riders need to stretch after or before rides?
I think it's important to educate the in general public that stretching before a ride is actually quite dangerous because you might tear the muscles. It's good that you stretch after the ride. So for me, what I suggest is to start rides easy pace. Maybe like if you have a power meter, you can go for 100 watt ride at the start to slowly warm up your muscles to the activity, so that when you actually push yourself for the event or effort, your muscles are warmed up and ready for the intensity level. Yep.
And you are running Garmin Vector power meters, right?
Yep, correct.
Somehow Garmin power meters are not very popular. People go for Favero.
Yes,
or Asioma, right?
Yep.
Why the Garmin? And any issues with this?
For me, I don't face any issues for this power meter. I've only had this for about 2 months or so. Yeah. So
any battery issues?
It's okay. I've been for the past 2 or 3 months. I've been on my first battery until now.
Okay.
So it's generally okay. My experience is quite good because for me, I have a Garmin head unit. So the data that I gather is more complete and wholesome compared to if, let's say, you have a Garmin power meter with a Wahoo head unit. The data might not be fully synchronized, and then you won't be able to make full use of the data. Yep.
And I remember I interviewed one of my friends who had a Garmin. He said he had issues with the battery, but you said there's no issues, right? What about accuracy in reading?
For me, recently I did a power profiling test. So the Garmin power meter compared to the Wahoo Kicker, I think V3, if I'm not wrong, there's about 20 to 30 watts of difference. So for me, that difference is negligible. At the end of the day, to be able to measure your wattage on the road, that is bound to have some differences where it comes from the road movement. So I think it's negligible and insignificant to a point.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What is the weight of your bike?
My weight now is about 7.8 with these deep rims.
Do you think you can go any lighter?
Definitely with a lighter hub, with a shallower rim. Because the weight of my bike comes from my old group set, the Ultegra 6800. So this group set is about, I think, close to 2.5 kg or so. Yeah, it's a heavy.
Yeah, heavy ass group set, man.
It's old enough.
Yeah. And the price of the bike is not very expensive either, right? It's about 5,000.
For my current setup, yes, it's about 5,000. So it's really decent. If let's say you go for a higher end wheel set, if let's say you throw in an MV or you throw in a Di2 Ultegra or DA, the bike price will shoot up to about 10k or so. Yeah.
Rim versus disc, do you think that rim will die in the future? Or is dying off?
I think it's early days for disc. For disc wheels, or rather disc technology, it's been in mountain bike for the past 10 to 20 years. But it's only been introduced to road bike for the past 3 to 5 years. So I think it is still really early. Rims will still be here to stay for the next 5 to 10 years. Then afterwards, maybe when the disc technology improves from then on, then it might eventually replace rims.
In your opinion, what do you think is still lacking from disc brakes? Or what can be improved?
I think the technology to integrate mountain bike into road bike needs to have some adjustment. What they're doing now is really just to plug and play.
Yeah.
They take from mountain bike and then just dump it on the road bike. So some things are not very user friendly, I would say, on the road bike, and it requires more maintenance, especially on the hydraulic systems. I don't know how they can make things better, but I believe that there can be adjustments made so that it's more in tune to disc brakes on road bikes.
It seems like a lot of road bike newer technologies are, like you said, being adopted from mountain bike, right?
Yes.
What do you think will be the next revolutionary thing? Okay, I wouldn't say revolutionary. What do you think will be taken from mountain bike that will be put onto the road bike?
I'm not sure because I'm not a mountain biker.
Dropper seat post.
Dropper seat post is a great idea on the paper, but it is not practical because of the
Weight. And you don't
like
really need to
300
drop your
grams.
seat post actually.
I would say you do if you do
Downhill.
overseas. When you are doing a high-speed descent, having a lower speed seat post would mean that you will be able to adopt a more
Lower center
aggressive
of gravity.
corner. Yes, lower center of gravity. But in Singapore, I think it's not very necessary. Same as the disc brake technology.
Yeah.
The effects of disc brake is not shown in local community other than its wet braking performance, which is definitely a plus.
Right.
I mean, anyone who has been on road carbon rims would know. I mean, carbon rims braking system would know. Yeah.
Saddle. What saddle is this?
This is the EC90 saddle. So it is inspired from the power saddle.
Yeah.
Specialized power saddle.
Okay. So far it's so good. It's okay for you.
Yeah, I think it's doing well.
So more about your frame, right? How would you rate the performance of this frame? Is it good on flats and climbs? Anything that you don't like about the frame?
To be honest, I mean, this is just coming from my personal experience. I have no complaints of this frame at the moment. I do have one point where I felt that the paint is a bit thin, but it is also due to the weight that paint could actually bring onto the frame. So if I'm not wrong, Colnago frames, the paint adds on about 200 to 300 grams worth of weight to the entire frame when you compare it with a matte naked carbon frame.
Any issues in terms of tolerances and seat post slipping, anything like that happening on this frame? Bottom bracket area, all good?
The point would be where sometimes I think it's due to QC in a way. So it's really up to the mechanic to really fine tune all these imperfections, I would say, because there might be some paint overrun, especially in the quick release section for the frames and the wheels, and also the brake mount areas. So generally all these are small rectifications that can be made by the mechanic themselves. So as of now, I do not have any problems with this frame. The stiffness is 10 out of 10. It's as stiff as you want a bike to go, and anything beyond it would be compensation for comfort and handling.
Lastly is bike fitting. Did you go for a bike fit?
Yes, so for me, I went to Ryan Bike Labs.
Okay.
The full bike fit is about 180. Yeah.
What kind of bike fitting mechanism does he use?
He has a device to measure our inseam, our height, and then he has a roller for us to put our bike on, and then he will do some laser management. He also have the I would say joint. So they put a sticker by the side of your joints, shoulder, your hip, and then it helps you measure your hip angle, your knee angle on the bike, and help you optimize from there.
Is a bike fit necessary?
If you cycle 200-300 km a week, I would say yes. If you cycle 50 km a week, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
Just go by your feeling. If you feel like you need one, where you will have joint pain, shoulder pain, muscle aches in extraordinary places, then definitely bike fit would be recommended, I would say.
So I'll move on to the Instagram question.
Okay, sure.
So if you guys want to submit your questions on For the next interview, you can follow me on Instagram, you can submit your questions. Jeremy, the first question is, why did you choose the X16 over the X18? So X18 is the one that looks like an SL7.
Yes, correct. It's the full integrated with the handlebar. So for me, one point was rim or disc. For me, I'm not a disc supporter. I do not like the sound of the disc rotating around. So for me, I wanted to retain my original group set because I felt that it is still in good condition with like 50,000 kilometers in running in for the past 8 years. So first point was the rim or disc. So when I chose rims, there was only X8, X10 and X16. So there's only 3 frames out of the 5 frames lineup. So for me, next would be the color scheme. I wanted a very flashy bike. One, due to safety reasons. 2 is just I like to stand out. So this frame caught my attention with its colorway.
Okay.
It is, I would say, one of the more unique frame colors that are up and coming. You see more manufacturers coming out with such a holographic, chameleon color, I would say. Yeah. So, yeah, this.
Okay. Next question is, how is the ride feel compared to your previous bike? Does it corner well?
I don't think there's a big difference in terms of cornering. But the ride feel is definitely more stiff. When you put the power down, there is instantaneous acceleration versus my 07. So for me, the main reason why I changed from 07 to X16 was due to the lateral flex. When you stand up and you do a off-saddle sprint, the 07 will flex laterally and absorb the power. So instead, for this, when you stand up, do the similar sprint, you don't feel the frame giving way and absorbing the strength. So meaning to say, you can achieve a higher power output with the same power wattage.
In your opinion, how good do you think this frame is compared to other brands such as S-Works or Bianchi or any other brands?
If you are asking me, when in a holistic point of view, for the value that you are paying, it is, I would say, amazing. For 1,003 to for a frame that costs 1,003, which is capable to put on the spectrum with the $6,000 or $8,000 frame set, I think you have to give it certain allowance of value and branding. So because at the end of the day, many people choose branded frames because of its reputation, heritage, and then you believe that they did R&D and technology into the frame, right? I mean, that's exactly what you're paying for, the product, the quality, and credibility. So at the end of the day, I think we need to try out different bikes and see it for ourselves. At the end of the day, your body will tell you whether you like the frame or not. Different ride frames, different geometry give different ride feel. So for me, Trifox is very suitable for anyone who has a limited budget, who wants to go for value for money aspect, and yet not discount on performance. At the end of the day, a lot of times when we choose budget frames, most of the time we have to discount out the stiffness, we discount out the color scheme, we discount out warranties and stuff like that. Yeah.
Good answer. What do you think of bikes that cost $20,000?
I mean, cycling is an expensive sport to start with.
It doesn't have to be expensive, right? It doesn't have
Yes, I agree. But many people think that way, like golfing. You know,
I've interviewed or I've met people who just started cycling, COVID cyclists. They go out for the top end ATOS SL7, Dura Ace 12 speed, and to me, I think they've not experienced a cheaper bike to be able to appreciate such expensive bikes, right? But I mean, what's your opinion on that?
I mean, once you go up, you can't go down, right?
Yeah.
So if they have the capability, financial aspect, I mean, feel free. You know, at the end of the day, if you have a bike that you love, that makes you want to ride more, feel free, go ahead. You want to spend 50k on a bike, I mean, it's up to you. when it comes to value aspect, of course, that 20K frame versus a 10K frame on a setup on a Trifox, the difference might be negligible in performance, but it's at the end of the day how you feel as a rider on the bike. And really, it's just feel free. Don't be worried about how people judge you. Oh, you buy a peanut rubber frame and you ride 25 km per hour. I mean, feel free, man. If you have the money, go ahead.
Right on the PCN.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many.
Next question is this bike comfortable over long distances, such as, for example, more than 100 kilometers?
So, for comfort level, I'm glad that I don't have any backache or hand numbness. A lot of times people feel like their hands get numb or numbness from a long ride due to the road vibrations transferring through a stiff frame. So I'm glad that this frame is stiff to a point where it is comfortable and fast. A lot of times I've tried other bikes, they are so stiff to the point where I feel uncomfortable when I go over bumps and even potholes. I mean, on Singapore roads nowadays, since COVID, there has been a lot more potholes coming out.
What's the longest you've done on this bike?
200K.
Oh.
So,
doesn't your back hurt? I mean, your saddle to bar drop is quite high, quite big as well.
For this setup, is because of my flexibility. So I wanted to adopt a more racy approach for aerodynamics purposes and also for performance gain. Because at the end of the day, no matter how fast you can go, if your posture is wrong, is not aerodynamic, you will be slower than your peers.
How do people get more flexible and adopt a more aero position?
One thing is static stretches. So that's what I do after my rides. I try to stretch, and then even in my free time, when I'm just watching Netflix, chilling at home, I will try to do stretches and then I'll go for a shower. So that way we can improve our flexibility, which return give you aero gains.
Do you think, let's say you buy a new bike, you start dropping the spaces down and down and down, will that increase your flexibility? You force yourself.
You should have flexibility to support that. Because at the end of the day, if let's say you adjust too much, you might have lower backache and upper backache.
It might be worse off.
Yes, it might actually be worse off. So it's good if you train your flexibility off the bike and then you transfer it onto the bike, slowly slamming, maybe half a cm by half a cm.
Next question from this user is, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No problem, take your time. The question is, which local distributor do you get this bike from? How is the service and after sales service from them?
So actually, I'm a distributor of this frame. So after sales service comes from me.
Is that why you're talking so highly of this bike?
There is definitely downsides to every frame. There's no one perfect frame.
Can we talk about downsides?
Definitely. I will feel like it's a bit aggressive. Not everyone can take such a geometry. So at the end of the day, if let's say you want to have an endurance frame, something to go on PCN, this bike might not be for you. If let's say you want to go for 28 mm or even 30 mm, then the frame will not be able to accommodate. So these are certain downsides where it's built. It is a characteristics of the frame that you cannot force. For example, if you have an endurance frame, you want to do aero, there is certain limitations that would stop you from achieving that. Yeah.
How can people contact you if they want to buy this frame? Do you have a shop?
So now we are on a home-based basis. If they are interested, you can just go on to Carousel and look for me. Okay. So Just Bikes, JUSBIKES.
Okay.
Yep.
Why? Okay, this sounds like a stupid question, but now we know because you're the distributor, right? So the question is, why do you choose this brand over any other Chinese brand?
Okay,
let's say if you're not the distributor.
Okay, to be honest, I first chose this brand without being a distributor.
Okay.
So first point was I wanted a frame that is valued for money. I don't believe in spending and paying for. Okay, just a bit of background is that I'm a marketing executive myself. So I'm in the marketing and advertising aspect. I cannot see myself paying money for advertising purposes. Big brands like maybe Pina or S-Works. If I would, if I was given a choice, I would be considering Specialized LS Sprint. That would be one of the bikes in my consideration. But that frame costs about 2005. Comparing to this frame 1003, I tested both bikes. I felt that there was no significant difference in performance, but I'm paying $1,000 extra. So when I went back home and think about it, is it really worth that $1,000? Or I could have bought a watt meter, a power meter, or I could have integrated handlebar to improve my cycling performance. So when it comes to that, to be honest, I didn't see myself paying any, purchasing any big brands just solely because it is said to be good. For me, I would like to try my bikes. I go to different places. I've tried Canyons, tried Pina, Dogma F8, F10, F12, and then followed by Cervelos, and then Specialized LS Sprint. So out of all those different brands, I really lean towards value for money frame, which is LS Sprint. That's when I got in contact with Trifox, and then after trying, it sealed the deal. First point was the color, followed by the price point, and then the feeling of the bike, the stiffness that I was looking for.
Okay. We're running a bit short of time. I'm going to take about 2 more questions.
Sure.
Do you know who Hambini is?
Yes.
The YouTuber, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so the question is, did you buy this before or after Hambini's recommendation? So I'm assuming Hambini had a good review on this bike.
Hambini's review was pretty decent. I watched 3 different reviews to really get an understanding of what the product is. Is there any problems? So they also did mention to me certain, like what I mentioned, certain, I would say the manufacturing finish. So like paint overrun, lacquer overruns that affect the fitment of the wheels or the brake mounts. But generally, all this can be rectified by the manufacturer, by the mechanic when they install the frame.
Is it as good as Durian Rider claims? Wow, seems like all the YouTubers are recommending this frame.
I would say, no matter what reviewers say, try it for yourself. I mean, if you are keen, feel free to contact me. We have a few bikes that I can let you try. So at the end of the day, when I tell my buyers, before diving into a frame, it's good to explore your options, go and try out, test ride different bikes. No matter what people say, it's very important for you to ride a bike that you like, that is suitable for you and your fitment. I can't stress these 3 any much more important than like the branding, how stiff is it, how fast do people say it is. I think all those are very subjective. Really is to try out the bikes and then really get a feel. Your body will tell you whether this bike is for you or not.
Last 2 ones.
Sure.
The first one being the guy says that the headset spacers do not match the head tube. These spacers. It looks very odd actually.
Yes, a bit.
Yeah. Is this the one that comes with the frame?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
This is the aero spacers that come with the frame. So
looks a bit out of place.
It does feel a bit out of place. So that's why a lot of people are keen to go for the X18, so that they have a more flush look.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they improved it, so-called improved it in the X18.
Yes, correct.
The last question is, did this frame have any excess resin, especially inside the bottom bracket?
Not for mine. No issues for all the frames that I built as of now. I do hear that certain times that happens. Like like I mentioned previously, the bottom brackets, the 2-wheel, I would say the securement point for the wheels and the quick release, and also the brake mounts. These 3 points are where paint residue can build up, so it can be rectified by a mechanic. It's actually pretty common in many bike manufacturers, just that it's pre-built beforehand, so you wouldn't know.
Right. So we are at the end of the interview. Before we end and I let you go, can you nominate one more person to come onto the channel?
I would nominate Nelson.
Nelson?
Yeah.
I was supposed to film Nelson. Where is he? He was supposed to be behind the camera and he was supposed to come, but then he asked you to come on the show.
Yeah.
So Nelson has a Trifox also, right?
Yes, his wife is riding a Trifox. He previously had one spare Trifox, but he sold it off.
Okay.
Yep.
You get Nelson. Nelson ran away this time, but you fill in for Nelson. Any last things you want to say to people who are watching this video who wants to get a Trifox or want to join your club or anything that you want to talk?
For the club, if anyone is interested, feel free to join us. We are a very friendly community that focus really on safety. We cannot stress that anything else. No matter how happy you are, how fast you are, safety is the priority.
So only Seletar or you guys go elsewhere?
Seletar and then Round Islands.
Round Island.
Yep.
Anywhere TMCR?
Once in a while we do, but then we don't solely do TMCR rides. Yeah.
Because I solely do TMCR. Because I live so here, it's so near.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else you want to talk about the bike or you are good?
If anyone is interested to try out the bike, feel free to contact me. Yeah.
So
very chill.
you have bikes that the people can try out?
Generally, I let them try mine, if not my partner's bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
We hope to get Nelson on this time because he ran away this round. You guys want to feature your bike, you can contact me on Instagram and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again, Jeremy.
Thank you.
There's no going back. You stepped across the